Hello, 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 everyone. So glad to welcome you to this week's Friday Forum. My name is Cyndy McDonald, and I have with me my co-pilot here, Leane Crane.
Hello.
We are so glad to have you. As you're coming in, and I started a little bit early, go ahead and use the chat. We love having the chat, and put in your name and where you're located, and so that we can see where you are. And especially this week, as we are doing just before Mother's Day weekend, we're so excited to be here and hope that you have a great weekend planned too. So I'm going to put everything on silent so that I am not interrupted. With current technology, sometimes it gets the best of us. So that is, sometimes we have to plan and prepare, and sometimes we're not. So thank you everyone for being here. Leane, how are you doing, and what does your weekend look like?
Doing pretty good. May 1st is gone, but I'm getting, I do the college finances, so I'm still a little busy trying to help people understand, the college choice according to finances and how they're going to pay. So working up to that. And I am excited this weekend. I'm headed off to Ohio State for their graduation. And my son graduated last year, but all his friends are graduating this year. So it should be a fun weekend.
That sounds so exciting. As you're coming in, as you're putting in who you are and where you're from, go ahead and put in something fun that you're going to do this weekend, either just because or because it's going to be Mother's Day. So we're glad to have you. Hopefully you guys saw my email that went out, because our guest for today is ill, and I've been doing this for so many interviews, and I've never had a guest, come down with something just before, which is what happened to poor Paula. And so we're going to invite her back. So today, Leane and I are going to talk about tools for success. We're going to talk about work-life balance. We're going to talk about different things. Leane has some life hacks to share with you. I have some ideas to share with you. So we're glad to have everybody here. The session is being recorded, so others can come and listen to it in the future. Next week, we are going to be welcoming 3 colleges and the director from the colleges that change lives. So we're very excited to be able to welcome them. So it looks like we've got all sorts of great people here already. Leane, welcome to Karen, Raina. Let's see, Michelle, she's going to barbecue, sit on the beach. Jennifer outside of Boston. Oh, planning dahlias. That's Italian restaurant. I know as COVID is receding, it's so nice to be able to go out and do things that we haven't been able to do.
Oh, yes.
Because of COVID.
And I think you mentioned that too, Cyndy. We're hoping to get some ideas from our panelists here on, what happened during COVID, and some life hacks maybe they got for good or bad that, worked or didn't work while we were all at home and trying to get our businesses and families all working.
Exactly. And I think that's important too. And I think that's one of the things that we need to talk, in different webinars and meetings. We've talked about the impact of COVID, some of the things that it has had. In some ways, there have been positive things that have come out of COVID, and obviously there have been negative things. So looking at those positive things and what those might be, and how they're going to impact us going forward. So that's really important as well. And looks like we've got more barbecues. What else?
It's a good weekend for that.
Mm-hmm. I know Caroline, she says she's in New York City. That sounds like a fun place to be. So, and be sure as you come in and you add, make sure your setting on the chat is to everyone so that they can see who, can see what you're doing and see the chats and have those conversations. So, well, and many of you have been on this journey with me over the last 2 years as I have been navigating being a widow. And the anniversary of my husband's passing was yesterday.
Oh, so sorry.
Thank you. So today my plan is after this session, my daughter and I are going to go to the cemetery and then go have lunch. So that's what I get to do this weekend. And I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a very healing and, restorative type of thing. So I'm glad my daughter gets to go with me. I feel very blessed that she's nearby and that she and I get to spend that time together. So that's what I'm doing this week.
Yes. Well, hopefully all those memories you can share, will help with that healing process. And, that's what you want to do is remember the good times. And
yeah,
I'm sure he's watching you. You're doing great things this year. So we know he is with you for sure.
Leanne, thank you. I do feel that. I feel that a lot. And I've felt so many people's prayers and strength and, just thoughts, and it has made a difference.
Good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Let's talk about some tools for success. And I want you to think about what are things that you're using, and also what are some work-life balance things. So first of all, I'm going to start a poll. So we're going to start off with a poll, and we're going to talk about kind of where you're at. So I'm going to click on polls, and we're going to launch this. Now there's a number of questions, and so it'll take a little bit of time. So we're going to try and play some music while you do this. So go ahead and start that, Leanne.
Okay, I'm going to do this, see if I can get this to work. Do this and then this.
So let us know if you guys can hear the music once she gets it started. Hear it? You can hear it, let us know in the chat. And thank you, everyone, for all your special thoughts and support. It's like a spa.
That's the plan. Relax.
Yes. This Friday, we want you guys to have, we don't want you to go to sleep, though. That is not the plan. I want you to think about, why are you, if you're an independent consultant, if you're not an independent consultant, let us know that too. Maybe you're thinking about becoming an independent consultant. So if you're at a school, you can talk about how many students you have. Like we're getting into, and people are already at number 8 and number 9. Hopefully you're at a place where you can take the poll. Okay.
getting up there.
Yeah, we're at 76. We're going to give you a few more seconds. We've got 22 out of 26 people.
There we go.
Okay, it looks like we've got
Looks like we're good, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to end the poll. I also want to welcome, I can see that Shanice is on here. I know she won't be able to answer this poll, but many of you will get to know Shanice. She is my new administrative assistant. So I'm glad to have her on the call. She's listening to us from Kenya. So many of you will get to hear from her. If you get an email from admin@cindymcdonald.com, it's going to be coming from Shanice. So I'm very excited.
That will help you. That's good for today's work-life balance, huh? Having your own admin.
Yes. I am very glad to have her here. All right. So I'm going to share the results, and Leanne, let's look at this.
Okay, let's see what we got.
See it? All right, so everybody should be able to see it. Let me know in the chat if you can see it. All right, so what motivated? I think this is an important thing to think about, why we become our own boss or why we start our own business, especially in this space as an educator. And looks like out of the 4 or 5 reasons, 73% of the reason we become our own boss, 73% people said it's manage our own schedule. Yes. And the next follow-up is to pursue a passion for educating. So spending more time with family, friends often connects to managing their own schedule. It looks like being your own boss is a driver, but not the primary one.
Yeah.
So Leanne, as you look at this, are there any surprises for you as you look at the different?
No, I can see like passion for educating youth from a lot of the consultants I know obviously come from a different field where they've worked with that. So luckily they found early on kind of what their passion is or what they'd like to do and have kind of extended that, whether they were a high school counselor or in the college arena. So it's nice that, people do that. I would be interested in the 2 others, though, to find out what motivates you. If they want to answer in the chat, it would just be interesting to know. It's always great to see what female entrepreneurs are up to.
I agree. So if you put in other, share in the chat, what that motivation was for you and why that was a key thing for you. So I totally agree, because there are lots of different answers and reasons out there. And the next question is just to kind of give everybody a perspective in terms of workload and just who's on the call with us today. So it looks like 50% are in that 11 to 24 range. But as you look at those larger numbers, we won't have anybody who works with over 100 plus seniors, but we do have people who work with 50 to 99 and 25 to 49. So that's 20 or 17%. So I think our numbers of students that we work with, I'm seeing those numbers go up. More and more what we do as independent education consultants is in a larger scale. Being a boutique and one person by yourself, there's still many people that do that, and that's very rewarding, very fulfilling, and it connects back to what motivates you to be your own boss, what you're looking for. But more and more I see that the numbers are growing. So if you have any other comments or thoughts, please start putting those in the chat as well.
Yeah.
So
there's a good point there, Cyndy, that Jeff just made. It depends on, whether you're working comprehensive or hourly. So again, if you field some of those essays out, or, the finance piece or the search, anything like that, obviously gives you more opportunity to work. And I know some people are going, as we'll talk later, if you kind of do some things of the repetitive nature of your business, you're able to take on more, doing the life list building one-on-one versus, some other things like applications and things like that.
Exactly. And Devin, I love that you shared that, now is carpe diem, somebody downsizing their business is a good time to take and seize that opportunity. So that is definitely an important thing. So I love how people, share your motivations and the reasons why you're doing this. It helps us all, and it helps us to see, create that connectedness for what we're doing. So the next thing is how many years have you been working with students? It looks like we've got a pretty even distribution. 32% from 0 to 4, 36% from 5 to 10 years, and 32% in the 11 plus years. So that's an important aspect, I think, too, to have. And then this is something we often don't talk about. And so the next two questions about workload during applications and during non-applications. Right now, we're in the non-application season. A lot of times, we're just ramping up work with the rising seniors. A lot of people are doing college visits, things like that. So what do you see in this response for number 4? Leanne, any surprises here?
No, because this is where I get busy. So I know the consultants are getting less busy. So, the finance piece comes afterwards, either early junior year or end of senior years, kind of. And I know a lot of vacations are booked now. I'm trying to get a hold of people after May 1st. There's some downtime before you gear up for the end of the year for your next load of seniors. So hopefully people are taking advantage of that.
Yeah. And I'm glad to see that we're spending less than 6 hours a day at this time, because that is an important part of the whole work-life balance. And the research shows that, you don't have to, work-life balance is not about spending the same amount of time every day, all the time in certain things. We, especially in this industry, it's seasonal. And so having that and taking advantage of this, downtime, because we know we're going to be working harder later on. And yet we still have 27% of people that are spending 6 to 8 hours a day. Fortunately, we don't have anybody that's having to spend 9 to 14 hours a day in this. I know there are people who, if you have a larger student load, you might be doing that. But then that's where the whole work-life balance and the hand-holding, conversation, right? So let's then compare that to what happens during application season. So 50% or more of us are spending 9 to 14 hours a day. And so then that's where kind of gauging things, organizing these life hacks that we're going to talk about can be really important. And if you have comments about what your life is like during application season, or what you want it to be like next year, put that in the chat. And Jeffrey, it's a good point. Workload can include professional development, college visits, conferences, not just working with students. Right. And that's very true. That's a very good point. So absolutely. So we have this workload, it shifts, we see that in this industry. So how do you feel about it? How do you feel? Is it giving you Is it feeding your soul? Is it giving you what you want it to give you? So how well do you feel you prioritize your personal life and your work life? And I've done a full survey on this. I did it in 2019. We're going to do another one now that COVID's receding. So be watching for some more emails and a longer poll, because I'm going to revisit this. But I just wanted to tease out some of these thoughts for our discussion today. So how well do you feel you prioritize your personal life and your work life? Many of us feel not well. Most people, though, say somewhat well, and I'm very proud of the two people, the 9% who said extremely well.
We should have them be doing the webinar.
And that's where we should, that's what we're all aspiring to, I think. I know I'm not as good at it as I would like to be. And I always tell everyone, it's like, whatever mistakes you think you're making, I've already made. So I've been there, done that, and have had that, done that, gone down that road. So, sometimes we struggle a little bit. Sometimes we're struggling because, of family obligations or understanding or things like that. But I love seeing that we've got 59% in the somewhat well category. Any other thoughts that you have, Leanne?
No, I think, we all know it at this point. It's a matter of, I think planning and prioritizing are kind of what get us there. So when we get good at those things, our satisfaction will move up, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I think the chat is great. I love everybody answering and just reminding us, yes, sleeping is really important, and eating, like Raina says, and all those things are really important just to be reminded of every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sleeping too. I totally agree. We can't cut our sleeping hours to 3 or 4 hours during the application season, and that impacts us and everything we do, but we're tempted to do that. Right. It's like this morning, I did try to get up at 5 a.m. It didn't work, but that was my intention. So then that leads us to our last two questions is, where are you at in terms of satisfaction? Are you satisfied with the stage your business is in? Mm-hmm. And are you satisfied with the stage your life is in? And it looks like there's, 73% of us, those that answered, are at that some satisfaction. Maybe you want to grow your business. Maybe your business is too small. So if you're, have anything to add in the chat about, and I'm going to post, I'll include the chat on the website so people can see it who are looking at this later. But where does your some satisfaction come from? Is there some goals that you want to meet? Is there other things that you want to do? And if you're very satisfied, what did you do to get there? We all want to emulate you. So, and if you're, have little satisfaction, what do you want to do? So, Karen, I see your point, planning too many things away from home. That's very, very easy to do. I definitely can relate to that. And
Deborah had a nice comment too. Again, the planning. So she plans her me time. Yep, which is great. I think that really kind of is a real overriding theme, is that planning piece.
Yeah, and we need to plan for that exercise, for that me time, those kinds of things that really help rejuvenate us and help create that balance. So, so this gives you hopefully some understanding, one, that you're not in this alone. Yeah. There are all of us, a lot of colleagues that are struggling with the same kinds of things. And also that there's opportunities and people who can share. I love our community because it gives us a chance to really share and see where we're going and what we're doing. So
I think that's one good thing about your group, Cyndy, that I did a while ago. HECA and IECs and everybody in this consulting world is great, but when you get into those smaller groups, I think you're more accountable, and you want to bounce ideas off in a more intimate way. And I think that really helps, and I love that you do that and connect us. I have made great relationships with people, through that and still do. So that's nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll be doing some more small group workshops, one-on-one workshops. But in light of this whole concept of work-life balance, I was going to start and do some, long-term small group coaching, and decided that I was not quite ready to do that. And so we'll be doing some shorter type of challenges, 1 month, or some 3-hour workshops, things like that. So and I love, Michelle's talking about, and this is what your goal is, and this is kind of epitomizes everything, is making more money but working less. Working on your business rather than in your business,
Yes.
You being your business rather than you running your business, rather than your business running
you. Working smarter.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's, I'm going to close the poll and I'm going to stop sharing. So let's talk about what some of those tools for success might be and how those work. So let me share my screen and hopefully go into, whoops, that didn't work.
Get it.
Let me do it this way. All right. Now we'll do this, and you should be seeing my PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And of course, then I can't move things around. This is the one thing that I do not like about Zoom, is it makes, oops.
Yep, there you go. There's you.
All right, let's change this. There we go. And now I can show you guys more things. All right. Good. Okay. So let me go back to the first one. Or not. All right. Well, we'll just go forward. All right. Okay. So just some tips and things for success. And you probably have some of your own as well. So don't be afraid to share those. But one of the things, reflecting back on why you became your own boss, what your goals were, what motivated you, what brings you satisfaction, and based on that, set your priorities. That's everything needs to stem from that. Once you set your priorities, then it makes it easy to make decisions and plan and move forward with your business, whether those priorities are family, as we just talked about, personal activities, exercise, self-care, the me time, building your business, those kinds of things. So one example that I will share is, when you meet with students, and great conversations with several different consultants on this in the past. And Christina Dooley, who many of you know, she's the current president of IUCA. She's a mom of triplets. So she has a lot on her plate. And she says, I don't do appointments on Sundays. Many of us don't do appointments, don't meet with students on weekends at all. But her dentist doesn't, no one asked her dentist why she can't meet with them on a Sunday, right? And so that's a priority. Once you say that and say, here's my priority, I don't answer text after 9 p.m. I don't make appointments on Sundays, whatever it is. Every time the question comes up, you're not having to rethink what the answer would be. So you have some examples or some things that come to mind on this aspect? Leanne?
Also making sure you write them down, even if you just put it next to your computer on a little sticky note. I'm not a big fan of sticky notes near computers, but, making sure your priorities, even though it seems a little odd, maybe writing those down, but just as a reminder, when you're on the computer or on your phone and someone's asking you something and you're kind of torn, does it fit with your priorities? Also, a good one for your priorities is doing a vision board. They always tell you, cut out those pictures. I just made one for my son who's trying to get into med school. So we did a whole vision board on his studying and what schools he wanted to get into, what score he wanted. So I think, just those little things can really, keep you focused and, again, set those priorities. So, if someone asks you something and you're really tempted to take on that extra client or the pro bono client or do that Sunday meeting, you have a little more conviction on why you're saying no and what the reasons behind that are.
I agree. Totally agree. And that can make a big difference. And that
get more balance. Yep.
Yeah, we have to go back to that, what those reasons are, because then that helps us keep that. And then once you have that, is creating those boundaries around your priorities. Sometimes we have to communicate those upfront and in multiple places, like on your website, in your emails, in your reminders, when I log in with my clients. And it's like, here's my boundary. Here's what I will do. And here's what I won't do. Here's how you can reach me. Here's when I'll respond. So don't expect it. Okay, it's in one little line on my contract that you can only do this, and that everybody's going to abide by that. That's not going to be as effective. So a lot of times you have to do it in multiple places. Lead by example. If you're doing it, then your clients are going to know that that's what your expectations are and what you expect from them as well. And then, as I already mentioned, is, remind family and clients of your boundaries. They are not going to remember from point A when you signed up to application season. I need these in by November. And many of us are, that's a big part of our role and our work with clients, both the students and the parents, is to remind them, you've got to have this in by this date. This is why we're doing this workshop or this video or things like that. So any other thoughts on that, Leanne?
It was a nice one from my young in the chat. Yep. Now that kids have the Zoom, she said they were doing it during their lunch hour, which is nice. A little makes it more accessible. So I guess we could chalk that up to a positive about COVID, is everybody is definitely Zoom happy now. And it does allow you to do a little better interaction without having to drive and clients elsewhere. So.
Mm-hmm. And I love that Leanne mentioned about her daughter and asking for time, because sometimes we do get caught up in everything that we're doing, and our family or our children might end up at the end of our list, or our husbands or spouses or significant others. Exactly. And being able to put them at the forefront, because you'll always have work. You'll always have other people,
always have work,
right? But your family, your children are only going to be teenagers for a short period of
short time.
And you have to. I remember years ago, I was serving on several panels, and was very much involved in our community, and I was asked to do something or go to a committee meeting, and I looked at my calendar and I said, nope, I'm doing XYZ with my daughter. And afterwards, somebody came up to me and said, I was just so impressed that you had something scheduled with your children and you wouldn't give that up. That, you stood your ground. So that can be, that's
priority and planning. It was in there. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some things, I call this gold in your pocket. And I have this conversation a lot, as I'm coaching consultants and working with businesses, is remember your clients are your gold. Make sure if you want to build your business, if you want to grow it, if that's one of your goals and priorities, always make sure you keep an email list of your clients, and you can always go back to it. Send them emails to say Happy Mother's Day, if Happy Thanksgiving's Day. It's the end of the term. I am taking on new clients, and I wanted to ask you first, because even if you had them in the past, they are going to know other people. So continue, make sure you use your clients and utilize that, because that is your gold. And the other thing that I have found that I've got on here is the power of
Starbucks.
Positive incentives, you might call them bribes, go a long way. Now, I talked last week about how, one of our other webinars, we were talking about how to get seniors to tell you where they're going, what colleges they're going to, and where they committed. They kind of drop off the edge of the earth after the application season. I just send them a Starbucks card and say, here, I send them an email and say, if you tell me where you're going, you'll get a Starbucks card. I hear right back from them. It works just like a charm. Same thing with parents, sending them a Starbucks, thank you for referring. Always find out where your clients are coming from. How do they learn about you? Because that helps you track your marketing. So, using positive incentives can be a really big thing. And don't be afraid to ask for referrals. Sometimes we're afraid to say, well, who else do you know? We often, feel uncomfortable doing that, but people are going to respond, and it'll be amazing how many referrals you get if you just ask. So other thoughts, things, what would you add to this, Leane?
No, I think it's true. The Starbucks thing, I laugh. I get clients from banks a lot of times, because banks don't do student loans, but they get that question a lot. So I am every month sending out a few Starbucks cards to bank employees, because they'll refer them to me, about student loans and refinancing. So definitely referrals, I think, is great too. I know sometimes I get a little hesitant, but usually my spiel is kind of like, I'm a small business, and I really appreciate a Google review, a Facebook like, and anything that just lets people know I'm out here is definitely gold in your pocket. Good way to put it.
Absolutely. And you can put it on emails. You can send a reminder at this time of year. It's really good.
Yep.
I see Magella is asking, well, what dollar amount? It's really surprising how little it takes. Like my students, they're $5. I'll send them $5 Starbucks gift cards, and I'll do it multiple times through the process. Amazon gift cards are great referrals too. And a $10, $15, they don't have to be a really big amount to just make somebody feel good and appreciated. So I think a lot of times it's the gesture, and that they really will respond to. So you don't need to do a large number in order to do this.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey's asking. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this, and we're going to come back to some of these questions, and I'll just turn the slides off, because now we're generating a lot of great questions, and this is what we want. So managing time and commitments, it amazes me how hesitant sometimes we are to bring in, and using technology, I think, is a great tool and resource to help create that work-life balance. Tips for helping us be more efficient. If you don't have a scheduler, get one. It saves so much time, the back and forth and everything else. Not all parents know how to use them, and that's okay. I got an email yesterday from a parent, and I sent her the link. She said, well, it's not working. I looked at it, it's working just fine. I don't know how to use it, but that's okay. So we'll work around that. But using a scheduler, I know there are a lot of reasons that people are hesitant to do that. If you're hesitant, send me an email and we'll work through it. But if you don't have a scheduler, add one. It'll save you so much time, and there's so much versatility in what you can do that gives you such an opportunity. And then, and it'll save you time too, instead of having a 20-minute conversation with somebody. When they call you as an inquiry or reach out on an email, you can just say, here, book this, and just introduce them to your scheduling system. So that is one tip for success and life hack that I would highly recommend.
Yes.
Have you found that to be helpful too, Leanne?
Oh, yes. I was kind of resistant. Everyone kept saying, use a scheduler. And then after probably about 1 week, I had probably 6 or 7 emails of going back and forth with the same person on a date and time. I caved in, spent the next hour setting it all up, and it's a new person, a whole new era now. I'm just not that going back and forth. It's amazing how much time it saves.
Right. So let's
I agree, Diane. Exactly. I think I started using Calendly also.
Oh, yep. Good. Yeah, and there's Acuity and things like that. And that's actually one thing I've started doing some comparisons. So now that I have Shanice, who is saving me, that's the other thing we can talk about. Get a fractional VA, a virtual assistant that can save you so much time. And I'm going to go and do some comparisons of tools like schedulers. I've already been doing some comparison of college planning tools and different things like that. So if there are tools that you're looking at and you want to think about incorporating into your practice, send me a note, drop me a line in my email at Cyndy, CYNDY at CyndyMcDonald.com. And, I want to know what your thoughts are and what you're looking at. So I want to go back to what Jeffrey was saying. How frequent do we offer bribes? Positive reinforcement.
That's a better term.
I give it to my students when they put in their first application. So get them started. They get one when they put in their first application. Give them one when they finish their applications. I give a reward to parents when they finish their FAFSA or their profile. They deserve it then, and they really appreciate it. It's like, yes, it's a lot. It's stressful and it's hard work. So I give one to parents at that point, and then I give them one when they are to induce them to let me know what their final results are. So usually for students, it's like 3. And parents, it's 1 or 2. If they do the FAFSA and the profile, I'll send them 2, but usually it ends up being 1. So it's not too, it's like $25, but it gives them some of those incentives along the way. So, and
those are Starbucks or Amazon rewards, Cyndy?
Yes, they're Starbucks or Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. And Karen asks, is it okay to ask a second time referrals? Absolutely. Yeah. Ask multiple times. They may not have seen your first time. They may not have seen your second time, talk and in multiple ways. Like, when you talk to them in an email on your website, make it easy and, give them a little survey. A lot of people will send a survey like this time of year, send a survey out and then make that available. So yeah. And somebody says that College Planner Pro has that feature of a scheduler. Yep. Guided Path is going to have that. The new Maya Learning version of Guided Path is going to have that as well. And Calendly integrates with Counsel More. So that, so having that and waiting and using, that's even better. If you're using a scheduler, through a college planning tool, I think I would do it separately because I like the versatility that I have through a planning tool itself. I don't know how much versatility these different tools have. So that might be something to explore. So, do I send these rewards to them individually? Yes, I do. I pull up their emails and I send them a little email. It has Starbucks to them. So it makes it very fast and easy and that kind of thing. Make sure, and this all connects to what we're talking about, is create systems for support. Invest in yourself. Most important investment you can make. and then outsource work as much as possible. If you're not an expert in bookkeeping, get a fractional bookkeeper. If you're not an expert in social media, get a social media person. I mean, the more you can focus on going back to what your motivation, that passion for students, for helping them to map out their future, that's where you want to spend your time. So outsource, don't be afraid to outsource work. And do it in those other areas of bookkeeping, administrative tasks, essay development, not the one-on-one contact with students. That should be your very last area that you outsource rather than the first. So using technology, streamlining office protocols, what can you be done other than face-to-face? I think that's what COVID has really taught us, is that so much that we thought we could only do one-on-one, papers we had to hand out, binders we had to give to students. We've learned that we can do our work without doing it face-to-face. So other thoughts, what would you add to this, Leane?
No, I think it's great. I think our next slide, we have a lot of these ideas, and I'm sure, a lot of people on here can tell us too, which technology, it seems like the technology is coming out so fast every day. It seems there's a new, some kind of platform that can help us save time and energy. I'm contracting work for a big company, and I have about 8 logins for 8 different platforms, and it's astounding. Like, it saves time. And I think at some point, maybe there's too many, but it definitely, they have everything to save time, from writing emails to sending invoices, calculators. It's amazing what technology is out there now that can help us.
And this PowerPoint is going to be posted on our website as well, because I want you all to benefit from this last one. These are all resources that Leane has put together, and she's actually given you links and things like that. So Leane, go ahead and talk about what these different things are that you have.
So I was thinking, I know podcasts are a big thing now, and we listen to ones that help us. There's a lot of college ones out there, but with today's balance, there's 2 that I've listened to. I like, maybe not the best, but I like the 14-minute one, because I feel like it's not taking up my whole day, but just gives me a little jolt of energy and reminders. And then the other one's a little longer, but if I can get the dog out for a walk in my prioritizing and planning for my exercise of the day. The Laura one I like too. I'm sure everybody's heard of the Breathe app. Again, there's apps, to remind you. I used to have one that when I went into work, to remind me to stand up every 15 minutes, or, walk around the office every hour. You get so caught up in getting things done. And the Focus Booster is an interesting one. I haven't tried it. So, again, I got to do my own prioritizing here. And then if anyone, newsletter, life hacks is just a good one to have. You scan it and find ones that pertain to you. Just different ideas from the kitchen to outside, vacations, work, all different kinds of interesting things. And then the document that is it on your website now?
Not yet.
Video will be on there. Just gives everything probably you've heard of before, but just different technology that you could use if you haven't thought of, and kind of integrating so your whole business is kind of streamlined, so that we're not all spending time doing, like you said, the accounting if we don't want to, or social media, all those things that we need to do, but maybe aren't the reason we got into business.
Right. Exactly. All right. So let's, so the next slide is just questions. So we're at that stage. Let me see if I can.
I think Michelle made a good point too. I heard about the College Planner Pro website. They were going over their features, but I think every kind of platform does that. They have those videos or tools, or I get emails all the time from different platforms I use on webinars, and you kind of, blow them off because you're like, I'm too busy for this. But I think if you really learn how to use the tools, and you're going to get more out of it, and they are built to save you time. So good point, Michelle. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And that again goes back to the whole beginning of our conversation. This, today is what is your motivation? Why are you doing what you're doing? And keeping that at the forefront, then using that to drive the other decisions in what you're doing. When I first started as an independent education consultant, I got really tired of managing things and students with emails and post-it notes and folders. I mean, this was, over 30 years ago. And I knew there was ways to manage it better because my husband was a computer programmer. He was a database programmer. And so I started asking, well, can you create this management tool for me? And realized that if I needed to do it, other people needed to do it too. But it took me a lot of convincing to help people see that you can take things and do the same thing more efficiently and effectively using, at that time it was a program, and then we went online. But the other thing we have to guard against is when you take and use some of these tools, sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to do it exactly the same way I've always done it, but I'm going to do this online. And sometimes the two don't translate that way. So you have to be willing to have an open mindset and a growth mindset. It's like, well, maybe this isn't exactly how I did it before, but this is going to get me to that goal and in a slightly different way. So you have to be willing to take that. And that's where, going back to the College Planner Pro, Counsel More, 360, College Kicks, any of those things, Maya Learning, and say, okay, I'm coming at this with an open mind. Show me what you can do. And ask. I mean, that's all of these companies have support.
Yeah, they do.
And so asking them questions and support, it can make a big, big difference. So what other questions or thoughts on this topic of?
Yeah, is there anyone who, I think one of them, Dusado, is that how you say that, Rana? I've heard of that, but I don't really know what that is. I've tried using Monday and Slack. I've used those. Be interesting to see if anyone else uses, I know Google Docs, obviously Google accounts, but I was wondering if there's anyone else who uses anything else that they can recommend. Kajabi, I know people use a lot. I've started seeing a lot of Loom, people using Loom to do quick with their students. So, if you're going through their Common App or an essay, so instead of, doing all written, you just do like a 3-minute video, like, this is great, but try doing this and this, and a little more personal, actually, even though it's a video on kind of those thoughts. So I've seen a lot of Loom people using that a lot lately, which I think is kind of nice.
And I had never even heard of it. So yeah, that's good to know. Jennifer added Jusabo for contracts, invoices, survey.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's great. I use Jot forms you could do the same kind of thing as you can do all of the above, create forms and information, things like that. So Michelle says she's got Loom.
So community market. Yep. Yeah, try Loom though, Anne. I think it can be a little personal too, because if you're only sending it to one person, and it, you get to see their face and they're speaking right to you. So I know where you're coming from. I was kind of like, you want me to record a video to talk, about an essay or an Excel spreadsheet is what I do. But I found that people kind of enjoy it because then you can keep listening to it over again if you're trying to explain something.
Oh, and that's true. And using videos in your emails can be very, very effective. And especially I've heard presentations on that as well. Using a video to explain an essay is much faster. Especially with the kids, they're so used to TikTok and social media and visually, and they're listening for that short amount of time that you can get it all out. I find that they engage with those. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Michelle talks about Canva. Yeah, we've had Sylvia come on and talk about Canva. It's so versatile. It gives you so many tools and resources. I've really enjoyed getting to know that. Yeah, that is a great tool. Is anybody using Prezi? Prezi was real popular for a while. I haven't seen it as much. But that's a good. I love watching them. I still can't get all my circles right, so I had to give up trying to do it. I could never do that. I don't know, something. But I do think they're engaging to watch when people do them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, any, no on Prezi.
No, I'm with you.
I have my UCLA students. I always try to challenge them to create assignments that they can use over and over again and in a new format. So when they're recorded, I'll have them look at Loom and those kinds of things, but oftentimes they'll use Prezi. But there's some other things. It's like with PowerPoints or things you can add to make them interactive, things like that. Thank you. If you sign up for Canva through Rakuten, I don't even know what that is. It's a shopping portal. I guess I've seen commercials for it.
Commercials, yep. Oh, good to know.
Great. Prompt is a good asset management tool, and it is integrated with College Planner Pro. I think it's integrated with all of the programs except for Council More.
Okay.
Yeah, and free, a lot of the free versions, we often keep those. A lot of different tools have the free versions. So, if you think of other tools or resources that you're using or trying, or if there's ones you want to learn more about, put that in the chat or send me an email as well. So, well, Leane, I can't believe we're already almost at the top of the hour. And we love you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate having everybody here. Leane, thank you for joining me on this very impromptu conversation today. Don't forget next Friday, Christine Bowman from Southwestern, Kathy Finks from College of Worcester, Lauren Sefton from Rhodes College, and Anne Moreno from the Colleges That Change Lives, and Dr. Steve Antonoff. So we're going to have a full house next week, and we're going to talk about the test optional perspective from a college perspective and a consultant perspective. So Steve and I will be sharing our perspectives on that, and the colleges are going to share their perspectives. And many of the CTCL have been at the forefront of the whole test optional movement. So you won't want to miss that, and let everybody know. And we'll bring Paula back probably in the fall sometime.
It'll be good to hear. Yes. Well, thank you for asking me to fill in. Not quite Paula, but your groups always have great discussions, and we always learn something. So thank you.
All right, everyone.
Have a great Mother's Day, everyone.
Mother's Day. Have a great weekend. Leane, thank you. Shanice, if you're still here, I'm glad you're here. So everybody have a great time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.